All right, Webheads, welcome back to the Webheads Podcast, a Marvel Comics event podcast. We're reading through every event from 1939 to present, and it's gonna be crazy. We haven't even hit mid 70s yet,
And it shows.
and it definitely shows. I am Steven, one of your co-hosts. I'm here with my brother,
DeMarco, the other co-host.
the demon expert.
Demonologist.
The demonologist, sorry. Let's go.
Hello, hello, hello.
So what you been up to?
Ooh. I went to the fair last week.
Nice.
That was it was cool. I got to spend the day with Zara and Fariel. But the fair itself kind of sucked. But it always does.
It's the same fair every year.
They just had more rides this time that I'm not ever going to get on. And then we did our normal thing that we do to have fun, which is going to Barnes & Noble after.
Nice.
Yeah. Fariel buys a book that she reads. I buy a book that I don't.
You buy coffee table books.
Yeah. I can make a coffee table with all the books that I've bought and haven't read yet. It's nuts.
I actually took one of your books one time. It was the H.P. Lovecraft one.
I don't remember.
It was like a bunch of like short stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read part of it. I was actually reading it for a while, and then I just stopped one day, and that was it. But
Yeah, I just got a new book, not at Barnes & Noble that day. I got one off of Amazon. It's called Hip Hop and Other Things. It's by this guy, this Mexican dude, Shea Serrano. Yeah, he's. I listened to his podcast because he has this podcast with this other guy called Jinx, and it's called No Skips. So they review different, like a classic hip hop album every week. And
Okay.
Yeah, so he just put out a new book. He has a couple other ones. He has one, Basketball and Other Things, and Movies and Other Things.
It sounds like what's his name from Comedy Bang Bang? Dalton Wilcox, his book.
Yeah. Yeah, and he I don't know if you saw, you might have seen it like a couple years ago. There was that hip hop coloring book.
I think so.
Yeah, he made that too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's all I've done.
Nice.
Yeah. That and try to search for Pokemon cards. Well, that's it.
How's that going?
Slow. Yeah. There's a couple websites I found that are legit where you can just buy like lots of cards. So it's like 25 card lot, 50 card lot. And it wasn't bad. I got a 50 card lot for like $9.99.
Nice. It's like a whole bunch of like common cards, and then you get like guaranteed like hollow or something.
Yeah, depending on which lots you buy, because you're like people will. It's kind of like eBay. Like people will post what they have on there. So some people have like they're selling like 15, 20 card lots of like all hollows, and then other ones are selling like some people are selling just like a 50 card lot of like energy cards.
Oh, okay.
So it just depends. It'll tell you like in the listing.
You
But
should shoot me that.
Yeah.
I've been looking. Same like you. I've been on the quest for cards. I've kind of slowed down on buying like the celebration set.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for those anymore because I need 6 more to complete the whole
buying packs is just
set. Yeah, and luckily I was lucky enough to get like 1 or 2 classic cards in each like thing that I bought.
Yeah.
So and there's only 25, and you get the other ones like in every pack. So those are easy to complete.
Yeah.
So I had I think 18, and I needed like a Blastoise and a couple other ones, and I saw this guy on OfferUp. He was selling I think 8 classic cards for like $30, and I had the Blastoise in there and the Zapdos and all that other stuff that I needed. So I was like, I'll just buy that. And yeah, so that came in. They all came in looking good and everything. So that I completed my base 3. So I got my Charizard, my Venusaur, and my Blastoise now in the 25th anniversary. And then I got the gold shiny Mew.
Nice.
I got that one. Now I just need 6 more. Can't seem to find those ones on OfferUp, but I looked on eBay, and they're not going for too much. Maybe like the most expensive one is maybe like $20 at the most. So I might just go on eBay and just buy all the individual ones. And
Yeah, I'll send you the link for that website that I bought those from.
Yeah.
Because they sell, like, people will be selling, like, individual ones on there, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I brought you the Elite Trainer box.
Yeah, I saw this.
Threw some extra hollows in there.
Oh, baby.
Some of the classic cards from the 25th anniversary set. I threw some common cards in there, too, for if you want to, or if you want to create like a binder or like a deck with Zara.
Yeah, I got Zara's binder going already. So.
And if you guys want to learn how to play the actual game, the instructions and all the stuff you need are in there too.
Oh,
so.
nice. I saw some. What is this? I think I saw some card sleeves in there too.
Yeah, the card sleeves are
Why
in there.
is it so hard to find those?
Like regular ones?
Yeah, or at least when I go to the store, because I've only really been buying stuff like at the stores when I see it.
Wow.
And Target never has them.
Yeah, I mean, I just get them from those, but I'm pretty sure you can just go on Amazon and just buy those. And
I just haven't done it yet.
yeah, I mean, I don't. It's just like I get those for free. Those ones though, I realized that at some point they used to have like kind of like glossy, more plasticky ones. These ones are more like smooth, like satin, but the clear part is kind of like fogged a little bit, so it doesn't really look as good if you put the card in that and in a binder. It just looked kind of like foggy,
Like cloudy.
yeah. So, but
yeah, I started. So I know this is a Marvel podcast, but I decided to give DC a chance. So I went on Reddit the other day and I was like, hey, I've been shitting on DC for like a really long time.
was this like a DC subreddit?
Yeah, it was the DC Comics one. So I was like, if I've been shitting on this for a long time, if you guys want to, if I want to get into this like hardcore, I want to read something good because I haven't found anything good from DC for a really long time. What do you guys recommend? And what did I say last week? They act like they only have 5 characters. And everybody that recommended something to me was like, hey, here's some Batman stories. I know Batman. I don't need another Batman story. Stop doing this. Every single person. I got like one Flash story.
Was it Flashpoint?
I don't even know. I didn't look at it. I just saw it was Flash, and I just like, whatever, man. I even signed up for the DC, what's the app called? DC Universe or something?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The app is good.
It's like the Marvel Unlimited app.
Yeah. Like you could double tap on the panel so it like zooms in and like scoots over to like, or glides across the page.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's easy to find stuff for the most part.
Something that is not easy to do on the Marvel Unlimited app.
No.
I had to go through like 5 pages just to get back to like the book I was reading and then figure out and then just go all the way down to the bottom because I was like on issue 115 or something.
It's a pain. Like, and then if you like on the Marvel Unlimited app, like sometimes if you finish a book, all right, like, okay, I'm done for the day. I'll come back tomorrow. You try to like find where you were.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, you finished the book, so we have no knowledge of it anymore.
Yeah, like I hadn't read in like a day or two, and I went into the app, and in like the continue reading was like none of the books I was supposed to be reading.
Yeah,
I was like, what the
it's all stuff that I actually haven't finished from like 2 years ago.
I was like, I haven't touched that book in months.
I stopped this for a reason. Get it out of here. Yeah, so I tried to give DC another chance. I have like another like 3 days on my week trial. So I guess I'll read some of the Batman stories that they recommended to me. But what are you guys going to tell me here? This better be a good story.
I would say, what was that one that was really big? I think like the Court of Owls one was something I heard was really good.
This guy gave me like a whole list of Batman, literally a list of Batman stories. And he was like, you got to read them all in order because they're like different comics. And the first one was Batman Year One. It's like a Frank Miller story.
Yeah. It's just so like, I mean, just any books, not even Marvel, DC, whatever. Like seeing a huge list like that and then be like, okay, I'm going to read this. It's tiring.
Yeah. That's why like sometimes it's good that we record these every 2 weeks. Because it's like, yeah, I could read it in a week and get it done. But it's like these stories are just like, man, this was too much. And it's not even like, oh man, that was such a deep story. Like that took it out of me. Like, it's like, Come on, guy. This is the third time we've mentioned this in like the last book, like the last 4 pages.
And sometimes it's not even, it's like just the characters too. It's like, it's not even a character that you're even interested in or like really worried about. And you got to sit there and read them for like 8-9 pages of just their nonsense. And you're just like, shut up already.
Yeah, it's even more frustrating when you like, when they bring in characters like mid story and then you don't hear, like they're not an integral part to the story.
Yeah.
Like in my story next week, they brought in a character for like 4 or 5 pages, and they were like going deep on like his whole story, and then it had nothing to do with any of it. But I get that sometimes like when we're reading these events, we're starting the event. I think next week I'm doing some Hulk stuff, and the issue starts at like issue like 206 or something. So the story's been going the whole time.
Yeah.
So I get why some of the times there's characters in there that I just don't care about for this event.
Yeah.
But man, 6 pages of this guy for what? What is he here for? Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes the dialogue just doesn't move the story forward. It's just there. Yeah. So it's like you get caught up with just, I was a scientist once. And one time this happened. And it's just like, wrap it up, buddy.
Okay, guys, we get it.
I didn't open this book to read about how you're a doctor.
So this week we have what?
So this week we're reading the Avengers-Defenders War. So this, I was going to say it was a doozy, but I feel like I say that every time.
I read, going through and editing these, we say that a lot. And I don't know why, because I don't use that in my regular.
Neither do I. I don't know why I feel like that's the appropriate word to use.
For some reason, every time I think of like something being overwhelming, it's like, oh, this is a doozy. But it's only when we're recording.
It's just overall, it's a strange book because there's a central villain, but they seem like they're like a second class part of the story. Like the main focus is between the Defenders and the Avengers. So I'm not going to go through the whole point by point story just because it is, I believe, 8 or 9 issues.
Yeah, we can't do another 2-part. Right?
Yeah, and it goes back and forth. So it'll start in like the Defenders, go to the Avengers thing. So it jumps in between like that, and I don't want to confuse everybody. So we'll just start with the basics. I didn't do too much pre-reading on the series before I went to the event, so I literally just started on the issue before the event started on each one. Yeah. So in Defenders, it sounds like we're in a kitchen.
Somebody's shooting dice outside the door.
Our studio got flooded, so we had to film in Mama Paparia's pizza kitchen.
Yeah,
down the street.
We're actually in the back alley.
If you hear a garbage truck at all, that's we just got to move our stuff real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Defenders, I forgot the number, but pretty much Hawkeye is no longer an Avenger at this point. He got kicked out, and he thinks the whole team is against him, so he's trying to do his own thing. And I feel like throughout this whole run that I've read, he's just been arrogant, stupid, and horny the whole time.
That's Hawkeye for you.
And so we catch up with him. He's not fighting the Hulk. I think they were just having a confrontation. And he shows up, and everybody's favorite, Namor, is also there. And Namor shows up.
Hold on, for Namor, he gets this.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Yeah, exactly. The moment I seen him show up, I was like, damn, this is going to be 6 issues of reading this guy.
Yeah.
And so Hawkeye and Hulk are like trying to fight. I don't know why Hawkeye thinks he's going to fight the Hulk. He literally has no superpowers. And so they're in the back alley and everything. And Namor and Valkyrie show up, and they're just like, hey, chill out. Like, I don't know who you think you are, but you can't fight the Hulk. He's part of our team. And he's like, what team? Like, who are you guys? And like, we're the Defenders. And no one knows who the Defenders are at this point. We
didn't know who the Defenders were at the end of that story a few weeks ago.
It's like they name themselves, but they keep telling people they're not part of a team, and then they can leave at any point.
Yeah.
So they're pretty much just in an open relationship.
They
with
made
each
a
other.
team and then didn't become a team after that. They made a team at the end of that story and then just all went their separate ways. And then didn't get back together for 4 years.
And so Hawkeye starts, he's kind of like wary of Valkyrie because in some previous issues, Valkyrie was actually fighting against the Avengers, but it wasn't the Valkyrie that Hawkeye is talking to. It was actually Enchantress. And they defeated her and she changed back into Enchantress, but she turned another person into Valkyrie. So everyone thinks this Valkyrie is actually just Enchantress. And so they end up not fighting. Hawkeye's like, I'm trying to do everything solo. I'm going to do everything by myself, but I'm still going to roll with you guys because I got nothing else to do. So he ends up rolling with them. They go to the Sanctum Sanctorum to see Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange is trying to figure out how to bring back the Black Knight. So for the listeners, Black Knight is a superhero. He has the Sword of Excalibur, which is passed down through generations of his family, and it pretty much gives the wielder like superhero powers and stuff. And so at this point, and he'll actually be in the Eternals when that comes out, or if that's already out.
Yeah, it's already out at this point.
But I don't think I'm making
We're making.
I've seen the movie already. I've
Yeah.
seen the movie already. Black Knight is not in it, but Dane Whitman, who eventually becomes Black Knight, is in the movie. So There you go. Black Knight's been turned into stone at this point in the book, and Doctor Strange is trying to figure out how exactly to turn him not into stone. He's been using all these different spells and this and that, but nothing has worked so far. Mm-hmm. So Namor, Valkyrie, Hawkeye all show up at the Sanctum. Hulk is not involved because he doesn't even want to be on the team. He doesn't like anybody on the team. And Silver Surfer is there too. Nice. And so they're all trying to figure out how to bring Black Knight back with something. Mm-hmm. And that's when we jump to Dormammu. He actually plucked Loki out of space. And at this point, Loki's actually blind. Thor and Loki had a battle, and at some point during the battle in some previous issues, Loki became blind, so he can't see. So he's literally just stumbling around, like asking for help from anybody to just help him see. And throughout this whole thing, Thor and Loki, their whole speech is super annoying. It's really Shakespearean. Yeah. And it's just like, thou has blinded me, and just like
so far every Thor appearance since the beginning has been that way. And it's so annoying.
I'm really glad he doesn't speak like that anymore.
Thank God. If that movie wouldn't have worked if he was doing all that.
And so we jumped from New York to the dark dimension wherever Dormammu's at. Mm-hmm. And he pretty much just brings Loki on as like his partner. He's like, hey, I know you have something against the Avengers, and I know you are down to help me out. And if you help me, I'll cure your blindness. And Loki is just like, yeah, like, I'm down. And they keep they know how evil each other are, and like they're not good people. What Dormammu keeps Loki on like a leash this whole time. The whole time Loki's just like cowering in the corner, like, I can't see. Can you cure my blindness now? And he's just like, yeah, I'll get to it. Don't help me out. I'll do this. We'll do it. And so all the defenders are at the Sanctum Sanctorum, and Doctor Strange is saying, oh, we need to get this device called the Evil Eye, and that's how we'll get Dane Whitman back. And so they're like, okay, we got to get these pieces. And the Evil Eye had broken into 6 pieces that spread all over the world. So they're like, okay, we'll go get these 6 pieces. Everybody split up, and we'll go get that. But Dormammu actually tricked them into thinking that that's what they need to cure him. So he's like, okay, this is my plan. I'm going to have them go get these things and assemble it for me, because what Dormammu wants to do is pretty much assemble it, and then because he promised he wouldn't come to Earth anymore, but if he assembles the device, he can actually create like a wormhole or something to where his dimension will actually swallow Earth and make Earth part of his dimension. So he's technically still keeping his promise, but he is assembling this device that will take over Earth. So he's setting the defenders out to go find it for him. And then we jump to Avengers, and in that one, the pre-jump to that is Swordsman and Mantis. So Mantis from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, as you guys know, she's in it, but it's not the same sort of like character.
Yeah, she was in the Thanos War too.
Yeah. So in that one, yeah, she's more like a martial artist, like kind of like almost a racist caricature, and like she looks Asian and she knows martial arts and she speaks in kind of like these like proverbs, and
She's an alien version of Shang-Chi.
yeah,
Shang-Chi.
almost yeah, I would say that. But her and Swordsman are teaming up, and they're trying to join the Avengers. So they show up and they're like, "Hey, we want to join," and they're just like, "You were a bad guy and like a few months ago. Like, what are you doing here?" He's like, "I've reformed. I'm good now. I'm good." And so everyone's just kind of like, I don't really know, but we'll try you out. So they take him in, and they're all just kind of like having like mistrust, and they end up like training with them, and like just really terrible training. Like I think he fought like Vision and Black Panther and then beat them, and they're like, "Well, you're good. We trust you now." And then like everyone else, like they go through their own way of like gaining his trust, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're good," and Cap's just like, "I don't know, something's fishy about you. I'm gonna keep an eye out for you." And then
Everybody else is like, yeah, he beat my ass. He's
yeah. And then so they go to a point where they leave everybody. Everybody's just chilling in the mansion, in the Avengers mansion, and Mantis and Swordsman. And also, did we explain Swordsman before? Have we explained him?
I don't think so.
So essentially, he used to be a carny, like Hawkeye. He actually trained Hawkeye and all of his...
no, okay, yeah, we did mention him in the Hawkeye special.
Okay, yeah. So we know them.
Yeah.
So Swordsman and Mantis leave the group and they go upstairs and they go to the balcony and they start doing the chant to bring some demon back
Jesus.
from somewhere, from some dimension, and the demon comes and like pretty much just f's up the mansion, and everybody's like, "How did he get here? What's going on?" And they're like, "We brought him here." They're like, "What the hell?" So they end up fighting him, and then they defeat him, and they're like, "We knew we couldn't trust you guys. Like, why did you bring this guy here?" And they're like, "Well, this is the only way we can bring him here, because we needed to defeat him, and we needed the whole team in order to defeat him." And they're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Cool."
Yeah, cool.
So they give them memberships to the Avengers, and they're just
How
like,
weird is that? It's like people show up to the Avengers mansion and like, "Hey, can we be a part of the team?" And then after like they put them through all these like trials, like some sitcom TV show, and then they're like, "Here's your pass, man.
just pull out their card.
Yeah.
Just keep it with you everywhere you go.
Head over to that room right past the kitchen. They're gonna take your picture.
Keep this form with you. Give it to the lady at the desk.
Fill out these W-2 forms, and then you guys will start on Monday. Feel free to hang out. Check out the building.
Jarvis will show you where your room is.
We'll see you bright and early Monday, buddy.
We don't provide soap, though. Bring your own soap.
And don't drop it. I hate these things sometimes.
So yeah, everyone's just cool with Swordsman and Mantis bringing a demon into their mansion, and so they're just like, okay, cool, and they're like, oh, we haven't seen Black Knight in a while. Let's go. I think he was at the Sanctum Sanctorum. Let's go. See him. So they end up going to the Sanctum Sanctorum, but because Doctor Strange doesn't know what's happening to Black Knight. They're like, he sets up a perimeter around a barrier around the sanctum, and so they try to get in and they can't get in. It's just like a wall. They just can't do anything. They're like, they must have kidnapped him. Doctor Strange kidnapped Black Knight. We got to stop this guy. And like, so they're just like, they think Doctor Strange kidnapped him. Doctor Strange is trying to assemble this evil eye to bringing him back, and nobody's communicating with each other for some reason.
Real quick, was the like the shield around the Sanctum Sanctorum, like, was it like a bubble, or was it just like?
I think it was a bubble.
You ever wonder, like, again, this might just be me that thinks stuff like this, But you ever wonder, like, somebody walking down the street?
No, I thought about that yesterday.
You're just walking down the sidewalk, and then all of a sudden they hit nothing.
It's like, what and they just have to make like a circle into the street.
You got to go all the way around it, but you can't tell where it is, so you just keep bumping it. You're like, is this all the way across the street?
There's just a pile up of cars that just
like how it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And so like
And so like they think something's wrong, so they're like, we got to figure out what's going on. And at this point, I think Loki has realized that Dormammu's not going to cure his blindness. So he's like, I got to help out. I got to do something to, kind of set things. It doesn't really stop anything or change the plan. It just kind of makes it more complicated. So he sends his like a projection to... Oh, no, that's what happened. So he sent a projection to the Avengers saying Doctor Strange is trying to assemble the evil eye to take over the universe. They go to the sanctum to try to stop him. It's blocked. And then they're like, we got to figure out where he's at. And Loki tells them, they went to 6 different spots on the earth. You got to go stop them because they're going to assemble this thing to take over the universe. And so the Avengers think they're getting the pieces to take over the universe. The Defenders think they're getting the pieces to bring back Dane Whitman, or Black Knight. And so the Avengers are like, all right, we'll split up to go get them. We don't know who's at each spot, so we'll just kind of take our chances. And so the first one is Surfer goes to Peru. Or some South American country, I think. They don't specifically say, but there's some racist caricatures of
there always is
tribal people who think he's some sort of god. And so he's flying around and he's like, I haven't found anything for hours, but I guess I should have asked these people if they've seen anything. And so he's like trying to ask these tribal people, and they're like, oh, you're the silver god, you'll bring us peace and all this stuff. And Surfer's just like, I'm not getting any answers out of these people, but let me go check this volcano. So he flies up to the volcano, and he's almost impervious, so he just starts walking around in the volcano, in the lava.
Yeah,
just like digging up stuff. Like,
what do we got in here?
Nope, nothing in here. And then to another spot.
What are you gonna find in the lava?
Exactly. And Vision and Wanda show up, and they're just flying in their jet. And Vision's like, Wanda, stay here above the volcano in our jet, and I'll go down and see if I see anything. And so Surfer's just like in the volcano blasting holes in the side of it, just trying to find what he's looking for. And he causes like an eruption that shoots lava up and like pretty much explodes the jet. But Wanda somehow just makes it out clean.
Yeah, of course she does.
And she's like falling, and Vision sees this, and he's like, oh no, the volcano has launched lava and destroyed the ship. Wanda's falling. He's like, but I guess I should stop talking and go save her. It's like, why would you acknowledge that you're talking too much?
Just go. Damn it.
So he goes, catches her like 10 feet from the ground, and he's like, what could have caused that? The volcano? So he goes up there and he looks, and he sees Surfer inside just like blasting. Exactly. And they end up having a fight because Vision thinks he did that on purpose.
Is that the Quinjet out there?
Yeah, like he couldn't just do that on his own.
Yeah, like he's a Silver Surfer. He could have just easily blasted you guys down.
Yeah.
You think that he went through this whole convoluted plan to just
They'll follow me here. I'll hide in a volcano. They'll hover above the volcano. I'll blast the volcano, and that'll shoot lava up, and that'll take them out. And so, like, Vision and Surfer are fighting in the volcano, and they're literally speaking what they think the other is trying to do out loud, but the volcano's so loud that they can't hear each other. So Vision's just like, I'm not going to let you guys create this device to take over the universe, and they're like, I'm not going to stop you from letting us help Black Knight. But they can't hear each other, so they're fighting, and the volcano's erupting and everything. Wanda's just at the bottom, and the lava's coming toward her. And the tribesman is like, hurry, we have to make a sacrifice to the gods or else they'll destroy us. So they grab Wanda and just throw her in front of the lava.
This woman has superpowers.
She's unconscious.
So she made it out of the ship alive.
Yeah.
Vision catches her right before she hits the ground.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming the blast from the ship made her unconscious.
After she got out of the ship.
Yeah. She made it out, and then maybe she was unconscious from the shock of everything. And then the village people were like, we got to sacrifice somebody. Let's throw the white girl in there.
They just see a woman laying there. They're like, kill her.
Yeah. She might be dead already, but just throw her in there.
And so, they throw her in front of the lava, and Vision sees this somehow because he's in the volcano. Oh no, the volcano erupts again, and it throws Surfer and Vision out, and he sees Wanda, so he flies down and saves her, but Surfer already has the one piece of the evil eye. So he gets away. And then we jump to, I believe is it Valkyrie and Swordsman? And so Valkyrie goes to Bolivia, and Swordsman shows up in Bolivia, and he has a jet, and he in the middle of the jungle there's a castle, and he's like, whoa, a castle in the middle of the jungle must have been a Nazi trying to get away during the war. And he lands, and he just walks up to the castle door and knocks, and a guy just answers.
He just answers the door like, hey, what's up? What's going on?
He's like, hi, can I help you? And he's just like, yeah, I'm looking for a device that may have fallen. And the guy's like, oh yeah, come on in.
Hey, person with a castle, I'm just looking for something. He's like, oh yeah, come on.
And the guy just like takes him in, and he's just like, yeah, this was a castle built by Nazis. And he's like, I knew it. And that's it. Like, it had nothing to do with the story. It's just something he just figured out.
That's a Nazi castle for sure.
And so Swordsman's there, and Valkyrie shows up, and they end up fighting. But the guy who owns the castle is also like a collector or something. He just has a bunch of treasure there. And so Valkyrie and Swordsman are fighting for the device and everything. And then the guy just pulls out like a laser gun and shoots Swordsman. And Swordsman stabs him and kills him. And so the guy dies. Swordsman thinks he's dying. Valkyrie's like, you're not dying. You're just hurt.
Get up.
So she just leaves him there, takes the device, and then somehow, some way, the Bolivian police show up in the middle of the jungle, and they're like, this guy is a hermit, and there's a plane that just crashed outside, and I heard a gunshot. Something's going on here. So they just barge into his castle, and Valkyrie leaves, but you see the policemen, no stretchers or anything. They literally just have two guys. One picks up the legs, the other one picks up by the shoulders of a dead person, and a guy who may be internally hurt. Yeah. And was shot in the spine. They're just like, yep. And they just dump him in the truck.
Listen, man, they might be understaffed.
There's no ambulance. It's just policemen just dumping bodies into a car. And they don't solve anything. They're just...
It's because all those people quit because of COVID.
So at this point, the Defenders have two pieces of the evil eye. And then we jump to... I believe Mexico, Monterrey, Mexico.
How many pieces do they need?
6.
Oh, jeez.
So this one, Hawkeye and Iron Man are in Mexico. And then, so Hawkeye is like already there. Iron Man flies in. And for some reason, the writers of the book, they make the people speak Spanish, which is cool. You're using the language of the area you're writing. But then all of a sudden they just switch to English when they're doing the explanation of why Iron Man's talking to the university professor. And it's like, do you only know how to say "ay caramba" and so on and so forth? And then to explain it, you're like, I don't know how to say this in Spanish. And so like, yeah, Iron Man goes to the university, and then he's talking to the professor, and the professor's like, oh, do you mean this thing? And just holds it up. He's like, I don't know what it does, but I suspect it goes to with some other stuff. And so Hawkeye shoots an arrow through the window, grabs it. Him and Iron Man have a fight, and Hawkeye actually wins.
I was just gonna say, Hawkeye should not be going against.
I thought they were gonna go like throughout this whole thing. I thought they were gonna do one Avenger wins one Defender wins one.
Yeah,
the Defenders are just sweeping the Avengers at this point.
That's nuts.
And so they have a short little fight. Hawkeye shoots an arrow that shoots acid onto Iron Man, and Iron Man is melting pretty much, and the only way he can get the acid off is by flying high into the sky super fast to, I guess the friction will get rid of the acid. And by the time he comes back, Hawkeye's already gone.
Yeah, no shit.
So Defenders have one. Oh no, yeah, the Defenders have 3 at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Hawkeye, Valkyrie, and Surfer. And then so now we jump to Wisconsin for some reason.
And that kitchen is loud.
Doctor Strange, he's using his magic to find where the devices are. Mm-hmm. So he's just flying above Wisconsin, and it's in the cornfield. Black Panther and Mantis are there, just walking through, trying to hopefully, I guess, see something that's going to tell them where it's at. And Doctor Strange finds it, and he knows that Black Panther and Mantis are looking for it too. So he disguises himself as an old woman and gets on a bus. And Mantis goes over and just like roundhouse kicks this old woman in the face.
Also, it's like Captain Marvel.
Yeah. And like all these townsfolk are like, "What the hell are you doing? You just kicked Mr. Johnson." And there's like a short little fight, but nothing spectacular happens. Doctor Strange takes care of Black Panther and Mantis like super easily, and then just flies away.
Was he as Doctor Strange?
After a certain point, yeah, like
okay.
he gets roundhouse kicked as the old woman, and then gets kicked pretty far, rolls under a truck. And then when they like lift up the truck to see where the woman is, like he's gone at that point. And he gets away. So now the Defenders have 4 pieces of it. Avengers have nothing at this point. And so we jump to Japan, and Captain America is being harassed by all the Japanese people there because they're like, "We don't want your imperialism here. Get out." And he's like, "Look, I'm not here as, you know, like a war soldier. I'm not here as
a government official."
Yeah, I'm just here to find something. And then Namor shows up, and it's like,
"Oh, brother."
He's like, "I'll fight you," but he has the device already. He's like, "Yeah, let's finish this, Cap." But I'm like, "Dude, you could just leave. Like, why are you?"
Dude, you had the one up right here.
You literally already won. But he decides to fight Captain America.
Yeah, let him search. Leave him there and let him search.
He has no idea what he's even looking for. And so they're fighting, and Namor like jumps down from the platform he's on, and he just like throws these Japanese people like away. And
he's never cared for the human life.
He's like, "Cap, I'm giving you one shot. Just leave." He's like, "If you just leave and leave us alone, you can live." And Cap is just like sitting there, and he's just like, "Well," and he's like thinking about it, and he's like fixing his shield, and you see him kind of like slide it off, and then he just like smacks Namor in the face with it. It's just like, bam.
It's like, I was thinking
that you're gonna die, and then smacks him with it. And then he's like thinking to himself, he's like, "I gotta use my quickness and deceit to take care of Namor. He's too strong for me." And Namor's like, "What the hell was that?" That's the cheapest shot ever. And just starts like laying into him. And they're fighting for a minute, and Namor just decides he doesn't want to fight anymore and decides to jump into the ocean. And as he's going in for the dive, Cap is like, "If he gets in that water, like, I'm going to lose him. I have no way of chasing him." So he throws his shield, not with the star and the red and white facing up, but downward. Almost like he's going to skip it on the water. So he throws the shield, and Namor just like lands on it. like it's a pool floaty or something. And he's like, "What the hell?" So Cap jumps in the water, and they start like fist fighting. Again, Namor could just swim away at this point. And I think he tries to fly away. Cap grabs his arm or his leg. They're fighting in the air.
He grabs him by the little wing
yeah.
of his foot.
They're fighting in midair, and then Sunfire shows up. So Japan's very own superhero, Sunfire. He has basically like Human Torch powers, but he doesn't light up. He shows up, and he's like, "Neither of you are taking this device." He's like, "You showed up in our country without any, paperwork, without even being invited here." He's like, "This is a Japanese matter.
I
Japan
still need
matter."
your passport.
Yeah, pretty much. And I thought about it. I was like, what are the logistics of being an Avenger then? Like, you can just show up wherever you want. And yeah, so he takes the device, and then at some point they get the device back, and they actually have a talk. They're like, "Why are you taking this?" And they talk to each other, and they're like, "Huh, that actually kind of makes a little bit of sense." They're like, "Loki told you one thing, and then we were told another thing. Something's not right." So then they somehow, some way, they're like, "Oh yeah, because they're in Japan." So they were like, "Yeah, we swung around to South America, Central America, and the Midwest to grab everybody else before they get to Avengers Mansion." And I'm like, "How fast are these jets that they're
Very fast. Way too fast.
So they swing around, tell everybody else what's happening. So that everyone else in the fights, including Swordsman. I don't know what happened to him. Did he just go to the hospital and just? So everyone's at the sanctum, and they all explain what's going on, and they realize, oh shit, like we made a mistake. But they forgot to tell Thor, who's also fighting Hulk at the time, and they're fighting, and it gets to a point where they're just like at like a standstill, holding each other like face to face, and in the panel says they do this for 15 minutes, half an hour, 5 hours. I was like, why are they just staring at each other like for 5 hours?
Yeah. There's a certain point in a fight where you hit a stalemate.
Yeah.
And in almost anything you're doing against somebody else, where you hit a stalemate and neither one of you guys are going anywhere with this.
Yeah.
Where you got to just be like, you know what, fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't, whatever. Or at least try kick him in the balls or something. Like, I don't know.
And all I was thinking was like when they said that part, because in the beginning people are like, whoa, like beat him Hulk, or like I want Thor to win. Like people are chanting him on. But at like 5 hours, are those people just like, oh, I got things to do? Like people are just like walking past him on the street, just like, excuse me, got to get by.
Yeah, I've even when I was in school, like I would see a fight and like sit and look at it for a couple seconds, and be like, all right, come on. Like 5 hours, you guys are just sitting there holding each other's hands, staring at each other, shaking.
And so like all the superheroes show up and they're like, hey, like we're cool. There's no taking over the universe or any of this weird stuff. It's all been a mistake. And Thor is like, oh, okay, like let's solve this problem then. And then Hulk is just like, I don't give a shit. I'm leaving. You guys take what you want. I'm done. And then they're like, well, we need you. We need to go to the Dark Dimension to get Dormammu. And at this point, they have all 6 pieces of the evil eye. And
just real quick, imagine the one guy that sat there for the 5 hours just for them to be like, okay, yeah, whatever, we're done.
oh, come on. Punch somebody.
Or somebody was live streaming it for like 5 hours.
And so like they have all the pieces, they put them together, and then like this mask thing, it's literally, it just looks like Wolverine's mask, but that's it. It just, but not even like the full. It's just the cowl. It just flies in and then swallows up the device, and then it I guess they're like, oh, that's Dormammu's like bird servant or thing or something. It doesn't look like a bird, but it takes the device and it goes back to the Dark Dimension, and then Dormammu assembles the device, and he's like, Loki, did you tell them that I set them up? And he's like, no, why would I do that? He's like, yeah, you're probably right. You wouldn't do that.
So you're right, evil friend. You wouldn't do that.
Exactly. So he assembles the device, and then a portal opens up, and Earth starts getting swallowed by the Dark Dimension. So people start turning into like monsters, and buildings start changing, and all this stuff. And we finally see like all over the world this is happening. So the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, they're all taking care of their own problems like this. And the heroes are like, we gotta do something. We gotta go to the Dark Dimension, but we gotta also take care of the things happening here because we're being overwhelmed. And then S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up randomly, and they have like these attack helicopters. And like but before they showed up, Captain America was like, we can't hurt these people because when they change back, they're still people. And then 2 seconds later, S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up with just guns. I'm like, like these people are not going to be okay when they change back. No. And so Doctor Strange is like, cool, S.H.I.E.L.D's here. We can all go to the Dark Dimension. I'm like, ooh, you guys are not going to want to come back here. And so they all go to the Dark Dimension, and they instantly get attacked by the the mindless ones, so the creatures that are just existing in.
They were in the formation of the Defenders story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're being attacked, and then they're putting all their power into it to kind of get through it. And there's a light at the end of a trail, so they go down there, and Dormammu just kicking their ass. Like, anybody who can't fly, he turns the ground into quicksand. Anybody who can fly, it's just like he turned Thor and Iron Man into their regular personas, like Donald Blake and just Tony Stark. So he gets rid of them, and then Wanda is the only one left. And he's like, "You really think you can defeat me? I have all this power. Like, I literally just took care of your friends and changed the whole planet into my dimension." And she like puts in like all this power and then defeats him. And then that's just it. Everybody just like back to normal. Everyone changes back. And then they're like, "Well, good work, everybody. Job well done." And ends the story.
Perfect.
It was the most pointless, lackluster event.
That didn't need 8 issues.
No.
And
And like
at all.
And we always talk about, like, it seems like the writers don't communicate with each other. Mm. But this is the same writer throughout. I think at some point he says Thor was supposed to go to Thor's like, "Oh, I'm going to go to the Midwest because that's, like, in the middle of everything, so I'll be able to get to everybody if they need me."
Yeah.
He ends up in New York. And Black Panther and Mantis are in the Midwest. Like, he doesn't, he's not consistent.
I'm telling you, the only writers who were like actually paying attention to anything were the Spider-Man writers.
Yeah.
That's it. Everybody else was just like, from one issue, it's like, Thor's supposed to be in the Midwest. Next one, he's like, "Oh, I'm just going to kick it in New York." And then completely different characters are in the Midwest. And there's no acknowledgement of it, ever.
And then there's so many parts where they're like, the characters know something's off, but they just like, I got to keep fighting these people. Like, you guys could have solved, you could have solved this way earlier.
And that was like if I had no idea about the story and you would have told me that this was like a 3-issue thing, I would say, "Hey, it's not a bad story."
3 issues would have been fine.
Yeah, but me knowing that this was 8 issues and that's the story that you told me, I'm sorry. I know that there's people out there that really love like these, because I think now like the 70s is like the Bronze Age of comics. So I guess technically people are looking at these like they're good, but like they're not great comics.
Yeah,
you can't tell me that this was good.
I will say that I appreciate them because they do set up so much for the future. Mm-hmm. You know, like Swordsman, he's not a big character, but he did teach Hawkeye, and he does become like almost a legendary character of the Avengers, and you know, the formation of the Defenders, and this and that. And some of the art does look like it really reminded me of like modern art. Like, they'll do some things that are just like so kind of like slick, and like the faces look really good, and I was like, damn, that's good. Mm-hmm. But like story-wise, like it just seems like they're drawing out like so much.
Yeah.
And at one point, I think the part when like Hulk and Thor like match like one-on-one with each other, there's a footnote that says, "Hey readers, this would be a great pin-up for your wall. So if you want my advice, I'd say go buy another one just to pin up."
just to cut the whole page out.
And then keep one just to keep. But hey, I'm not pushing anything, just an idea. And
hey, just buy 2 copies of this.
And it's like, I get it. Like, you guys are trying to sell comic books, but like to draw out a story that doesn't need to be this long into 8 issues across 2 different series is like, it was just so much. And now it's not any better, but like at least like a main like event will just be like its own series, and then you can kind of read like the satellite different stories. You know,
there's like different tie-ins. But like the main event is just all there, written by one person.
Yeah,
it's like I
don't have to read 8 different stories or a series of characters I don't really care about just to get the whole picture of what's going on.
That was yeah. So let's go into ratings.
I'm gonna give it a 3. There were some parts where I was just like confused as hell, like perplexed as why it was happening. There were other parts where I was just like, well, that's pretty interesting that they took it that way.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, they would do a thing where it'd be like a speech bubble and then footnote, and then there's like just a lot of callbacks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, read this issue and this one or whatever. So that was kind of like distracting, and it just floods the page with more things that you have to read for no reason, you know? So I'd give it a 3 out of that. Like I said, some of the art was like really good. I wish I would have screenshot one of the panels, because it's just Hawkeye. But the way he's like looking at the out, it's just a black background, and then his purple cowl and all that. Have you ever watched that show, Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes on?
No, I have it like on my list of stuff, but I haven't watched it.
It looks like the art style and like the coloring. It looks exactly like how it looks in that cartoon from 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So seeing that from like the 70s to that,
40
like
years ago,
yeah, it was just like, oh shit, that looks kind of cool. So, and there was like some other panels too. So yeah, I'd say the art was pretty good too, but I think a solid 3.
Yeah, I'm going with the 3 too. Just because it's, like I said, the length of the story is always a deciding factor. Or one of the deciding factors for me. And knowing that this was 8 issues when it could have easily been 3, maybe 4.
Yeah.
And not spread out over 2 different books. I hate when they do that. And then the story itself was good. I would have loved to read the story if it was not 8 issues, because it's like it's too much, and then you guys are I know you guys are giving me filler.
Yeah.
And they do this. Like you said, they do. So like modern stories do this as well. Not all the time, and it's not usually on like events.
Yeah.
Like I've read different runs of comics where like I'll read a whole issue on something, and it didn't give me anything. It didn't push any story forward at all. So it's like, okay, what the hell is this? And then for that, like, I didn't know this until you just said it now. Then for them to be like, hey, go out and buy a second copy so you can put this part on your wall.
Yeah.
Like, I get what you guys are doing, but it's also like a cheap kind of crappy way to like get people to buy your comics.
Yeah.
Just so they can cut out one page.
You're already making me buy 8 issues of a series I've never read before.
Yeah.
Or cared about.
That's the hard part about crossovers, and like I don't know what people's financial situations were in the 70s, but granted, comics were only 25 cents. I mean, $1 out of somebody's pocket at that point could be a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like people might not be able to spare the
extra 25 for the one they want to cut up.
You want 50 cents for comic books this week? No, go get your one book, and then we'll talk next week. Like, and then for you to try to convince people to buy a second copy of it, and then if they want to know what's going on, like in the full story, they have to go buy a whole nother comic.
Yeah,
that's messed up. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the story was okay, but it was just too long.
Yeah, very long, and I think I'm starting to see a pattern of these team ups where a lot of the Thanos one you talked about that one time, that one did center on the villain.
Yeah.
But I noticed that a lot of them, like the main villain of like whatever the conflict is never really given like the due diligence that they need. You know, it's like it's always all the hero. It's like the villain may set something up, but it's always the heroes throughout, and then we get the villain at the end. And it's like that just makes it so boring because it's just the heroes doing whatever they need to do. It's like either fighting each other or following the clues or something. And it's like they're not really doing any hero stuff. They're not.
Yeah, that's why I liked the Thanos one, because it was like we're seeing everything that Thanos is doing. We know his motivation for it. We know why he's doing it. We know what he's doing to put his plan in. And then we see the good guys doing their part, trying to figure out what the hell's going on and how they're gonna fix it all. These ones where it's all these superheroes are just doing everything, and then we see like a little glimpse of Dormammu and Loki.
Yeah.
Okay, back to Hawkeye and Iron Man fighting in Mexico. And just on another note on the Mexico thing, I'm 100% sure they didn't have anybody from Mexico in that office.
the Spanish word bubbles, I was like so close to like taking a picture and sending it to Danny and being like, what does this really say? Because I felt like there were some words I recognized, but I felt like they were just putting like a bunch of like mumbo jumbo in there just to make it seem like.
I would not be surprised at all.
I was like, if I do that and I'm right, that's gonna ruin the book for me. So like, maybe I shouldn't do it.
Yeah, you got to do that after. Finish it all and then ask. Yeah. So I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah,
that
solid
was
3.
Another episode of Webheads, an interesting one. Not a doozy.
Not a doozy. We're gonna retire that word.
Yeah. From this episode on, doozy is retired. No more doozies here. Even it's the more you say it, it sounds weirder.
Doozy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird word.
Yeah. You ever look at a word too long, and then it starts to look like it's misspelled?
Yeah.
That happened to me yesterday.
It happened to me like a couple weeks ago. I looked at the word none, None, and it just didn't look like I spelled it correctly.
Yeah, I was looking at withstand yesterday,
Withstand.
and I kept looking at it. I was like, is that how you spell it? The hell is this? And then I went to go Google it just to make sure. And I was the one that wrote it. All right, guys. So that was another episode of Webheads, the Avengers-Defenders War, which wasn't really a war. They never really are.
Yeah. It's always just they just use that word to sell books.
Yeah. It's
This is more of just a miscommunication.
a large miscommunication, but not a war. Do you have any? Actually, you know what? I got a new sound for everybody, so we can do shout outs.
Give me some sugar.
This is called the "Give Me Some Sugar" segment of the show, where we give our shout outs and then we say goodbye.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like how we have segments now.
yeah. I'm trying to just mainly name the segments. So yeah, here we are with the "Give Me Some Sugar" section of the show. You got any
Is this
shout
where
outs?
we give shout outs and hope that the people getting shout outs give us some sugar?
Yeah, that can be it. Or just yeah, we'll go with that. Let's not make it complicated.
Shout out to Danny. Shout out to just go listen to Memories Not Guaranteed. We got some good stuff coming. If you
That's
haven't
what
listened,
he says every week. Every week.
if you guys haven't listened already, one of my favorite ones of this season is the Halloween one so far.
Yeah, I get it. You know, I meant to call you about this, but I'll say it on a public podcast instead. The fact that Monica thought she heard something or saw something in her room and then chased it into the closet is nuts. And the fact that it wasn't that, like, she was pissed at it. Like, she was angry at it. So she went to the closet to, like, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah, when she told me that, I was like, damn, she was pissed.
You know how pissed you gotta be to, like, see, like, something, like, creepy or scary and then to chase it? Like, you gotta be really pissed off for that to happen. Because I can tell you, I feel like I've seen a few things in my life that I was not gonna chase. At all. But I'll let you get back to your...
Oh, yeah, so just Memories Not Guaranteed. Go listen to that on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music. And yeah, that's all I got.
I got a shout out Fariel. She's still got that new job.
She got a new job?
Yeah, new position. It's taking it out of her. She's just coming home exhausted every day. I know she's killing it. It's going to take some time. You got to learn everything new again, which sucks.
Congrats.
Yeah. Shout out to Zara just for being cute. That's it. That's it. I just wanted to say shout out to my baby. And then, shout out to Grandma. She has a lot of family here right now.
Oh, yeah, shout out to Grandma.
Her nephew is here and some other family. So that's why it sounds like we're back in the back of a New York kitchen. Pots and pans clanging around. Dice games outside the door. All that fun stuff. I don't know what the hell's going on out there. But, shout out to Grandma. And that's it. That's all I got this week.
Nice.
Yeah. We will be back again next week with another story for another time. And I remember a couple weeks ago I said when we were doing the Thanos War that we were at the late 70s. We're not. I was off big time. I was off by like 6 years. I thought we were in like 79. We were only like 74, 75.
This is slow.
Yeah.
Once we get into like the 90s, and onward, it's going to be events like all the time.
Yeah. I'm not even joking. Like, we have total, there's like 300 events.
Yeah, and we've hit, what, like 20?
We're like, what? No, we're like 16 episodes in. And 2 of them have been like double episodes. And when we hit like 90s, like 2000s, there's probably going to be like 5-part episodes in there.
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure out how to handle that.
We're definitely going to have to script those ones.
Yeah. So, again, thanks for listening. Like I said, we'll be back next week. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.